Welcome to the Music Matters More podcast. Today we welcome on Nessie. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Tired. A little bit hungry, even though earlier I said I wasn't.
Yeah, it hit.
Um,
We
it
have
hit
my
a little
lovely
bit.
co-host Bishop.
What's
How
happening?
you doing today, brother?
Big chillin', bro.
Awesome. We're gonna get right into this. So usually we just, like I told you, we base it off of conversation. So we normally start by asking the same thing, and that's how long have you been making music for?
So I've been writing since I was about 12. I'd say that was probably the start of actively pursuing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started recording around the same time that you said that, like you started recording around 14, 15. Like when you're in high school and you're like, oh, maybe I could do something with this, right? And so that's when I first started recording. And like you said, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Okay. I, it was just butt, bro. That shit it was ass. Like you're 14, 15, you think that you're making good stuff, but it's really not. And then by the time I was 18, that's when I kind of started to teach myself production a little bit more, and engineering as well. So it's been about I'm almost 21, so it's been 9-ish years, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember what DAW you first started with?
I didn't even start with a DAW, bro. I started with something like iMovie Pro or something.
Oh yeah, for making music.
Yes, bro. It was bad. I remember we were sitting in my sister's room, because at the time my brother and I we were sleeping on couches in the living room. That was our living situation. I was in my sister's room, and I remember I was like, "Good, I want to record a song." And so I didn't have a DAW. I didn't have any equipment, anything like that. So it just had her phone or something. She had iMovie. I had this beat by this guy named That Boy Slim 97. Shout out. I still remember. Um, and yeah, I just loaded that up into the iMovie Pro and then just pressed the mic button and recorded it like that.
That's awesome. And then how did you just export it as that?
Yeah, I actually think that so the beat that the guy had did, it was he had Sonic as a background, so I literally just took that picture, put it into the iMovie Pro with the beat, and then just export it like that. The audio quality was it's
Not
not
the
even
best.
yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome though. We had an artist on here before who did the same thing when they first started. So I mean, as long as you find a way to make music, it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody starts somewhere. Like, what made you want to get into production?
That's a great question. Um, I think the way that I view music, it's for me, there's a lot you can do when you utilize other people's talents and skills, right? But to me, I'm always seeking that next thing, right? I'm like, okay, I can write, right? But to me, I always want to attain a new skill. And sometimes I get bored, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let me give it a try. First beat I ever made, dog water, bro. Bad. Just not good. But I fell in love with it because it's I want to get better at this. There's so much potential, right? And listening to you graduated '08. That was around the time where kind of Odd Future was forming. You remember them?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the main artists from that, Tyler the Creator, he's probably my biggest inspiration. He has this album called Wolf. And the instrumentals there, to me, that is the definition of evolution, or at least a transitional period. And for me, I'm I want to create sounds like that. Something where it's I can express myself with more than just words. Like from the beginning to end of a song, it's all me, right? Just expressing it in any way.
That's
Type
awesome.
shit.
What I mean, I never got into producing. I've tried a little bit this year again, but eventually it'll happen. But what made you want to get into what made you want to get into engineering as well?
That was circumstance. Cause we growing up never really had money or anything like that. And senior year came around, all the stuff before I was 18, just dog meat, horse butt, bro, not good. But eventually, it got to a point where I had moved to a new high school and I met a group of friends. And one of them, he was actively kind of doing music before he went to photography, videography and stuff like that. And so after school, I just go over to his place. I'd be like, yo, Brandon, you trying to record today? Go over there, record it like that. But then as time goes on, like kind of shifted out of that high school group, right? Just more independent kind of thing, going your own way. And so I was like, I don't have an engineer. I can't afford an engineer. So I'm like, I need an engineer. So I might as well educate myself and do that.
Do you think that you're still learning as an engineer? Like, do you think there's a lot of room to grow? Yeah. What do you think that you need to improve on?
Side chaining.
Side chaining? Yeah, yeah.
Side chaining's rough, bro. It'd be hard because like the balancing, I feel like balancing is a big issue for me. I feel like that's something I have trouble with because so I just recently switched from like a USB mic to like a condenser mic, like
Okay.
using interfaces and shit. Oh, sorry. Or wait.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Um
What's your mic that you're recording on right now?
it's a Lewitt LCT 240.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Because you have
I
been
like that mic. Yeah, yeah. I think it's a very good. I'm not trying to bash you and say like a budget mic because my first mic was a MXL 770 and it was like $90. And that was like my first XLR mic too. My very first mic, I don't even know what we were recording on. I recorded at one of my old buddy's house and he had like a USB mic, but then yeah. So I feel like I mean I used the MXL 770 up until I got the SM7B and it's like there's a lot of different mics. Like I could spin a rack on a Newman and stuff like that. Like it's just if you know how to use the equipment that you have at hand, you really don't need anything expensive because in reality, like a Focusrite, their new third gen is like people are gonna give me shit for this, but it's damn near like coming across the same quality as like an Apollo. Now, an Apollo has post processing and has a quad core processor in there, so you're like taking off a lot of CPU intensive like from your computer when it comes to like loading plugins and stuff like that. So you're able to have like a vocal chain already emulated into the mic as you're recording, but you can get by with like the new third gen Focusrite and like a Rode NT1A, which those average around like 150, and like even the Lewitts, like for their design, it is very good. Yeah, I like those mics a lot.
yeah, definitely budget though.
It's not it's not like budget because they're still fairly expensive. The Lewitts are like 350, no, 300.
I think the one that I got was maybe like 170,
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
think, but yeah, I want to get SM7 eventually.
Really? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Once my financial situation is a little bit better, but
I mean, the reason why I got the SM7 was because of my recording situation. I still like, even when I'm recording my clients, like we'll set up the mic out here and or some people will like recording just sitting on the couch or whatever the case, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I really like just how you can practically record anywhere with that mic. But what do you think inspires you to make music?
for me, like a big part of it is therapy, man. Like I feel like sometimes I struggle to articulate myself, and I feel like for me, it's always been that outlet. You know, like we all have those outlets where it's like sometimes you don't tell like your family members what you're thinking sometimes and stuff because it's a lot. For me, all of that is the music. It's the biggest outlet for me. A lot of introspective writing. Like I heard all your stuff. There's a lot of introspective thought there. I think for me that's a big thing as well. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Why do you feel like cuz I feel why do you feel like it's hard to share certain things with your family?
For me, it's like that's a great question. Um, they all have like their own things going on, man, and it's like I got a lot of like stuff that I deal with, but I don't want to put that burden on them. You know, it's like I when I was younger, like I used to worry my mom because I'd tell her I'd be like, "Mom, I'm not good," right? And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm a grown man. Like I can take care of these things internally, but you still want to voice them, because if you just let it voice up there constantly, it's trapped there. If it's trapped, it's no good. It's
Yeah,
poison.
it is.
Compared to if like you can channel that negativity into something positive, it's like, why not? Right?
I just feel like as men in general, because a lot of women, I feel like it's easier for them to express themselves in a certain way, whether it's truthful or not. Uh,
It's crazy.
but I just feel like as men, we do that because I mean, like we will hold things inside and like we'll let it eat at us because we feel like we don't want to put that burden onto anybody else. But I feel like that is a very good reasoning as to your outlet. So, how many songs have you created over the span of your career?
I don't have a number. There's a
Mm,
lot.
Estimate.
Okay, so are you talking about, all right, are you talking about like full-fledged songs like you had, like demo like that, or are you talking about maybe like I have beats that I wrote to but I didn't record those songs yet? Do those count?
You can give me a number for finished and then rough drafts.
Finished, including the entire Wipe discography. Hold on, give me a second. I'm trying to calculate.
Yeah,
12, 24. Finished, I'd say anywhere between like 50, no, like 75 to 100 probably.
that's
But
good.
a lot of it was wiped, which I kind of regret, because it's like, even though it wasn't good, it was me at the time, right? I was a kid. I was still like, I didn't know how to engineer. I didn't know how to produce. It's like, but it shows that growth over time, you know?
I've literally verbatim said that. Like, so a lot of the music that I make, it's like, yeah, like I said, maybe boom, I started getting really good when I was like 20. Okay, so that was 5 years ago. But the songs from like 20 to 18, like maybe they weren't the best, but they were definitely good for that time. And that's when they should have been released. But I feel like you got to keep them for the memories, bro. I still have my very first song up on SoundCloud. Anybody can go listen to that. You know what I'm saying? Like I keep it there so that way people can go, oh shit, he came from this to that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but which one of those is your favorite?
From the crap tracks?
No, just from any of the finished tracks
Oh.
from the crap track.
Trash tracks. Gotta think about that. Current.
I was just gonna say,
Hmm?
which one do you play the most?
Um, I like performing. I think pattern recognition. That one, like a lot of like when I perform it, nobody really like cares type shit, because it's a storytelling song. I wrote it about a friend, and her situation was she had this thing with this guy, and he was basically using her. And so this is somebody that I love and I've known for years. Like seeing that position for me, like I didn't want to like get on top of her and be like, oh fuck yo man, pookie dookie butt, right? But it's like I care about her, so I went and wrote that song. And a lot of people, when they hear it, it's not something that should be for, or not that it shouldn't be performed, but there's certain energies when you're in certain places where sometimes that energy can be out of place, I guess. And I feel like I went on another podcast called the Leak Podcast, and I went there and did that song, and it wasn't the right setting, wasn't the right group of people. But at the end of the day, the energy, like the reactions to it, that doesn't matter to me, because it's like I made that song for somebody, and it's like if somebody else can hear that and relate to that, understand that story. So pattern recognition for me, that's a good one.
That's weird that you say that because when I was going through your songs, the two that really stood out to me was Together and Pattern Recognition. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always used to say this reference when I was like 17. I have a quote in my phone, but it's like, artists are like, um, new mothers. Okay, so blah blah blah. They have a baby and they have this creation once the baby's born that wasn't here yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Artists can make a song from nothing, whatever their experience was, and blah blah blah. And somebody from your city or whoever may not like it or whatever, but there's some kid halfway across the country who listens to that song every day. You know what I'm saying? Like how you said time is perspective. Everything is perspective. It doesn't matter about who, no offense to that podcast, but it doesn't matter about who was saying whatever or the reaction that they gave you, because that you didn't make that song for them. You made that song for yourself and your friend. You know what I'm saying? So it's like take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. That's definitely something like growing into the man that I'm becoming. I've had to really adjust to is not taking everything so personal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, there's certain things that you just got to take, like it's like some people will hear my music and be like, "Oh, blah blah blah." Like it's from somebody who doesn't make music and they go, "Oh, da, 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 you use a lot of autotune." And it's like in half of my songs I don't even have autotune on. So it's like they don't know what they're saying. Maybe they hear like the reverb or something that is like catching their ear, but it's like they realistically don't know what they're talking about. So it's like I'll take certain people's opinion with a grain of salt because it's like whatever, but at the end of the day, criticism is worth more than compliments because you can learn that way. Do you feel like you've discovered your sound?
I feel like when it comes to that, I don't think there's like a set sound for me. Like, of course, there's always going to be like with intrinsically motivated actions, there's always going to be those core values, right? That core energy. And I think that's always there. But I feel like as each day ticks by and those days turn to weeks, months, to years, it's like it's always adapting, it's always evolving, it's never the same, right? It's like because what I'm making a year from now, it's not going to be exactly the same as what I'm making now, right? Because there's so many different areas and sectors that I want to delve into and dissect and understand and then like articulate that in my own way. And I feel like, I could be making a jazz album 2 years from now.
Yeah.
I could. I could. There's not like I don't think that there's a set sound for me. Uh, but I think like that core energy will always be there.
If you had to put your music, I'm not putting you in a box, but if you had to put your music within a genre, what do you think it would fall under?
I don't know because like I actually so I went and asked AI to like look me up, right, and give me an explanation. It said stuff like that I would have never expected, like alternative pop. I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll take alternative pop. I don't care. Um, that's one thing I guess. Obviously there's a lot of like elements like to the production style, and obviously like a lot of the flows. It's hip hop oriented, but I'd say hip hop pop at this moment is probably where most people would place that kind of sound.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna say alternative pop, but I was definitely gonna say like alternative indie type of style. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like you could be a better version of Dominic Fike. Do you know who that is?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
like his stuff, and because I just like picked up guitar actually, like one of his songs. It's like a big one. I'm pretty sure Baby Doll.
No,
What?
yeah,
Damn. Yeah, he has a
Yeah, I haven't
song,
heard of him.
Dominic Fike.
Mhm.
he's really good.
Um, yeah, I guess he's kind of like he recently like not too recent, maybe within like the last 2 or 3 years, he kind of gained traction through like people using his song on like TikTok kind of deal. Um, but he released that album like years ago, and then people finally started to pick it up after time. I kind of like that. Like when something's initially released and might be like a little bit of a buzz, but it's not like crazy, and then finally it like
Picks up.
yeah, once that acceleration starts, it just train leaves the
I
station.
really liked 3 Nights by him.
I haven't heard that one.
What?
All right, I'll
Yeah,
listen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll listen to Baby Doll if you listen to 3 Nights because 3 Nights is crazy.
I got you. I was getting choked by the mic.
Yeah.
Didn't want that dap. I'll listen to it on the way home. What's it called?
3 Nights.
3 Nights. Okay.
So, do you feel like you have dealt with adversity when it comes to your music career?
Excuse me, but could you explain adversity?
Like, do you feel like people have hated on you for attempting to try to make it in music?
Yeah, it's kind of always been that way. I mean, like back when you were 14 or 15, right? Like there were people around you who would like did
Okay, hold up. He's saying back when wasn't that long ago. Just letting everybody know. Proceed.
Okay. So like when you were that age, right?
All right. Yeah.
My bad, Unc. No. uh like when you were that age, I mean, people cuz like we're kids, they don't take that kind of thing serious, but to us we did,
Yeah.
right? Because to us that's so passion driven, so like right? You know what I'm talking about. And you had people clown you, know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like from a young age it's something that I experienced, but something I didn't understand how to really like
Deal with.
yeah,
Yeah.
cuz like when I was younger, I always like people pleaser, you know? And it's like, oh, it's not pleasing them, it's not pleasing me. I think that was a big issue when I was younger.
Yeah. I I I mean, I didn't struggle with it firsthand, but like I would hear stuff that was said behind my back, but I mean nobody said it around me, so it's on them. But how do you feel like you have grown to deal with that type of stuff?
It's kind of a mindset because it's like I'm not cultivating sounds for the people who were in that room anymore,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like being able to take everything into my own hands, I'm like, okay, this is me, this is my project. If you don't like it, that's okay because I didn't make it for you, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that it's just a mindset, honestly, but it can take a while to be able to be in that mindset. Because I know for damn sure, like even when I was like 18, excuse me, even back when I was like 18, bro, I was still in that same mindset where it's like, oh, like be walking through the halls and there's a whole other myriad of things that I would get made fun of for, but it's like people would like say, "Oh, he thinks he's gonna," I mean,
Yeah.
right, and that made me feel some type of way, right? But like, just I think maybe being in that setting, that atmosphere is what influenced that mindset compared to being a grown man on your own, discovering yourself, not just through the music, but through life. Mindset shift.
Do your family and friends support your music career?
For the most part, yeah. But my best friend the other day, like we were going to Chief It, right? I was sitting there writing a song for like 2 hours. This motherfucker hops in the car. First thing he says, he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I do not fuck with your music."
Oh, jeez.
But it's like he was honest with me, right?
Yeah.
And that like I wasn't insulted because I'm like, you've been my best friend for 10 years. Like for you to say that to me, obviously, like I know you're telling the truth, but I know it's not malicious.
Did he
Yeah.
tell you why?
Yeah. He said that it's kind of like, which I proved him wrong. He said a lot of the times, like it sounds like I'm speaking directly to somebody and that same sound kind of he says he doesn't get it. I'm like, exactly. But anyways, I ended up showing him like an unreleased song, and then it kind of shifted his mindset a little bit. But he like I didn't think it was malicious because he always like asked me. He's like, "Yo, like he asks about the process. He doesn't just rain on it to rain on it.
Yeah.
He wants to understand it, but we haven't really had a time for him to be there while I'm sitting there making the beat, to sitting there writing. But for the most part, yeah, everybody is. It's nice.
So,
I
Good
feel like
reinforcement.
you have very good lyrics. Like if I could give you one piece of advice is it feels like you're not giving it your all in your deliveries. you have very good lyrics and your lyrics actually speak something, if you meant what you said and you put that onto the track, I would give you no other advice because you are right there. Like even your sound quality, yeah, bro. Unless this is where the equipment comes into play because unless you have this fully equipped studio, with a C800 and whatever, the Sony microphone 18K, mic, like you're really not going to get close to perfection unless you're a really good engineer and you're making that work the way you want it to. So it's like you sound very good with what you have, and some people can't even get close to that on their own. So I feel like you're literally, again, like you've said a couple things that have blown my mind because it's stuff that I've said in the past and it's like just freaking me out a little bit. But you're literally like right at the age where I was just getting good. So if you've been doing this for 9 years, 10 plus years, this is where these next couple years is when, like you're saying, you should be constantly adapting because you're growing. You know what I'm saying? And same with my friends. My friends have told me straight up, blah, blah, blah. I remember I would get into cars with people when I was like, this is when I was like 18. I'm like playing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this is the best shit ever. And they just straight up go like, or it's a friend of a friend. And they go, man, that shit was ass. And I'm just like, you're just fucking crushed on the inside. And it's like, because that's what they don't see. They might have heard that 3 minutes and 20 seconds that you just played them, but they didn't see the 12 hours that went into that song in your room or whatever the case was. You know what I'm saying? They just see that 3 minutes. And it's like in your head, you tried your hardest to get that out, and then they just obliterate your dreams. So if same way that you're saying that you use your music as an outlet, you need to take what your boy said, and it's like even if you're not making the type of music that he likes, you still need to make your own type of music. Just be like, all right, I'm gonna make something blah 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 that is in my own lane, but that this motherfucker can't deny. You have to do something that is literally like, all right, blah, blah, blah. If he didn't like this shit, I'm going to show him blah, blah, blah. You showed him the unreleased shit. Make something better than that. And just be like, just keep improving with every single track. What do you feel like is something that you have worked on that has helped you excel in your music career?
Confidence. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like you gotta fake it till you make it. That's me with confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like outwardly, I'm well spoken, I can be articulate, but it, when that social battery dies and I'm just like, I don't even know anymore, just like losing that sense of self a little bit. Obtaining that sense of confidence has helped me a lot, especially in those situations where people do rain on your parade.
Yeah.
Right? It's like just take it, right? And take it as it is because they might not trying to be like their objective might not be to insult you. So you can take away from that criticism.
Yeah.
I feel like that confidence has helped with that a lot because you can get in your own head about those kinds of things, but it's like this guy's not trying to like I mean some people will.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of haters out there. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't if you got haters, you're doing something right most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But confidence is the biggest thing for me. I think that was the biggest shift in the mindset from like a let's call it fine to a pattern recognition kind of deal. Yeah.
Crazy.
Um, Whenever you're making music, what do you pull from? Do you think it's easier to write or do you think it's easier to freestyle?
Writing, but I just recently was in the studio with some friends and we kind of did like off the rip kind of deal. And I feel like where I struggle with rhythm, kind of being in that moment and getting like da 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 kind of thing, like going to get that rhythm. Um, I feel like that side of freestyling is probably something that I need to practice more because sometimes the rhythm can be off, and I feel like the freestyling, I try to practice it right, and it can be good sometimes, but then sometimes it's just whatever. But most of the time, it's writing.
You just got to keep going, bro. I'm not going to lie, because that feeling that you're feeling is based off like the energy, from the beat or whatever. So it's like you're able to find what you're hearing. Sometimes when you're writing, it's just like structure. You know what I'm saying? Like more based off of a vibe. Like,
Deliberate.
yeah, yeah. So that is something you just practice that, because that'll help you in many cases.
Are you good at freestyling?
A little bit. I'm not the best.
Yeah, I'm not good by any means, but if like the vibe is there, oh you just
Keep going.
yeah. And especially like if you have somebody else who can like vibe with you and get into it too, go back and forth like that. And that's what we were doing in the studio, which I feel like even though I don't usually like freestyle, like in that moment, it's like, all right, we're all doing it and it's all of our first times. Like, why not? Like, let's try this. Let's give it a shot. And it turned out really good. We have another session coming up on Wednesday, actually.
What are your plans for 2025 when it comes to releasing music?
I definitely like I have plans to release a decent bit more music, but I think at the moment right now, I think that there's a lot in the vault. Um I've had like an album concept for like the last 2.5 years. I had a whole finished version and I scrapped it because I was like, nah, like I'm not feeling this and other people aren't gonna feel it. And so I've been cultivating that. Um, that'll probably be ready this year. That'll probably come out. But I also want to delve more into like building my businesses, right? Like setting like aside from the music, just building my businesses and putting those skills to work. But album on the way, I guess.
Do you have a name for the album?
Yeah, it's called Lightopa.
Lightopa?
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
It's funny because like when I was like thinking of like an album name, like I'm always in my room creating the music, right? I don't go out to studios. I don't outsource for beats or anything like that. Like it's all me from start to finish, just at my chair, at the computer. So I just created like a name for that atmosphere, right? So I called it Lightopa. I don't like. I was just like trying to come up with random ass names. And that's just one that came up. To be honest with you, it's not like I think there's like something called like a maybe like a lipoma or something like that. It's some kind of like tumor or something. And I didn't even know that existed until after I had came up with the term Litopa. But yeah, just a little something I created.
So you said that you were going to mention the pins earlier. When you talk about building your business, what do you mean by that? Do you mean building your personal brand, or
Yeah, a little bit of like personal image because like in this day and age, you can't just be good at music, right? Like you can't just appeal to the ears. You also have to appeal to the eyes. Attention spans are so like low right now that you have to be captivating. People have to be familiar with you. So that's a big thing that I'm working on. Like merch and whatnot, but also, like setting my other skills to use, right? Like doing photos and videos and stuff like that, doing audio engineering, producing for other people, right? So outsourcing those skills, I guess. But the merch and the like brand image is a big part of it too. Uh, so I have like little uh kind of alter egos, like I mentioned earlier. Tyler the Creator is like a huge inspiration, so that's definitely a big thing that inspired me with like that kind of thing. Um, Mr. Ness, he's obviously it's the Loch Ness monster. um, but yeah, I guess I kind of want to create like for my I guess what would you call like that like because it's a business but like would you call it your brand?
logo? Oh, uh, yeah. I mean, that's my business. My brand would be considered like Harrison. So like my brand is myself, but my business is separate.
Right. Yeah, I guess I have little alter egos and whatnot, and I'm just trying to like cultivate a character that is like something that people can be familiar with, right? Like they see it, they're like, that's Mr. Ness. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Mr. Ness merch just dropped. What?
Yeah.
Got the pins, got the stickers. So we got the bucket hats now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something people can stand behind.
Yeah. I actually have a couple extra pins that I brought for you guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Dope.
That's
Yeah.
all that- Bro, take them out, bro. Let us put them on.
I mean, you gave me the sticker, so I'm like, you giving me that. I was like, yes, bro. Like I love sharing little things
I'll
like
rock
that with
it.
each other.
I'll rock it right now. I'll put it up somewhere
Check it
too.
out, bro.
And merch won't be
Oh,
live.
shit.
Merch won't be live for another month, but yeah, my friend, she's very artistic, and the university that she's attending, um they have like this little room, like it's like an arts and crafts room, and she taught me how to make pins. So it was just doing the little thing and making the pins by hand. And it's fun.
You made these by yourself?
Yeah. So the process is, like you print them out or you cut them out, right? And then you put them in the little machine. You take one of the
Pins?
little yeah, you have like the back part of the pin and the front part of the pin. You set that up one place, and then you need like a little plastic can't remember the name for it, but put that in there too, and then you just smack it together and then poof, pin.
That is awesome. You're gonna have to teach me that because that is super cool.
I think it's so cool that you have all like that embroidery stuff over there. Like you mentioned like where it's like with the heat, what is it?
Heat press?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's sick. Like I know that you need time for it, but when that comes, that's gonna be sick, bro. You're gonna like do patches and stuff.
So the heat press can do like essentially I have like a DTG printer as well that prints DTG sheets. So you're able to just print out the sheets and then put the sheet on a shirt and then press it onto the shirt. But I got it because I've had a couple people that were gonna help me with all of that side, and it was like they knew how to do this stuff, but it's because they worked at a shop, like a t-shirt mart, but we had a falling out, so it never became something. So it's essentially like I got all the equipment, but never really did anything with it. Like I've done the vinyl a couple times, but yeah,
Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Not if.
When?
When.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
man.
it's gonna happen. Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, yes, bro. I love that.
people like that quote a lot.
I like it too.
What do you think is the worst part of making music?
Probably the lows, man. Like the blocks, the creative blocks, those suck. Like you can have such high highs, but like when you get into like a slump, like because your personal life, there's things going on. It's like sometimes you can channel it, but sometimes it's just like you're drained, not just physically, but mentally. And it's like those lows suck, bro. I won't touch my computer for like a week. Those are rough. And in those moments, there's a lot of self doubt. But once you get back to it, it's like, all right, what's up, baby? What's cracking? Get right back to it.
Have you almost come close to quitting?
No,
No?
never.
Where do you feel like, all right, so when I'm saying like that drive, okay, so almost every single one of my friends who's known that I've been doing music forever, or like the friends that I've had for over 15 plus years, I've asked them, like, is there anything that like else you could see me doing besides music? And a lot of them have said, you're crazy. So I didn't know if you would always be doing music, but I knew you definitely wouldn't have like a basic job, which having a job during your creative process, you need that. But I'm just saying, like, when you're sitting there and you're like, I want to make music, and you've never quit, but you deal with those lows. What makes you keep going?
Definitely the drive is to improve. I mean, that's what this one right here is. It's always progress, never regress. And I feel like there's a part of me that's a perfectionist, but it's not me trying to be perfect. It's me trying to grow and do better. And it's like people grow in all kinds of ways, and there's no set way that you're supposed to grow, but for me it's through the music, right? So it's like even when those slumps hit, it's like, why did the slump hit, right? Why did we hit this wall? How can we not just go over this wall, but how can we break through it? So
Mhm.
when that wall comes through again, we're strong enough to just tackle that obstacle, you know? It's it's always, for me it's always driven by like the desire to grow,
Yeah,
get better.
that's awesome. What do you can you remember what type of music was like you grew up on? What was playing in your house when you were younger?
All kinds of stuff, bro, because like I love music, like all genres, everything. First time I can remember listening to music, I was in the back of my mom's Chevy Rendezvous at like 5 years old, watching the Big Papa music video by Biggie Smalls. That's like the oldest memory that I have. But my mom played all kinds of stuff, right? But I also like really dug like older music, right? Stuff from the 90s, but also stuff from like the 80s and the 70s. Is that right on point?
Yeah, that's not that old of music yet. I thought he was gonna say 60s or something.
No, I'm not big into the blues yet.
Oh, all right. So what type of music was played in your household growing up? Like,
Um, Probably like a decent amount of 90s rap, I guess. That was definitely something. 2000 R&B as well. But my sister, she always had aux, right? So I got like a lot of her stuff, but her stuff is diverse. Like there's a lot of different things. So, one day we're sitting there listening to like Mario, right? You know the R&B
yeah,
singer, like Mario. Yeah.
of
You
course.
know Mario. Like one second it's Mario, and then the next second it's like Green Day,
Yeah,
right? And that's like, I've never had a judgment towards different genres of music because it's like there's so much there, right? It's like some people just kind of hear it at face value, but there's a lot there. And for me, I dissect stuff. I can't just listen to it. I have to like pick it apart and understand it. So everything. I really love jazz,
really.
neo soul, funk. Oh, it like itches like a spot in my brain. It's like anytime I could get there and just lay down some chords, I'm like, ah.
You play instruments?
I I'm a bit like pseudo with it, right? Because I don't know music theory fully, right? No bits and pieces. And I'm not like full fledged on an instrument, right? But I know how to put things together, right? Like I know how to lay out a chord, on like piano and stuff. Piano has been my biggest thing for like the last 2 years, but it's mainly like keyboard and also just being in the DAW, setting that up. But I just picked up guitar, uh, and that's a bit of a learning curve, bro. I'll sit there and practice. And I'm like, man, this is hard. I don't know why I assumed that playing it would be easy. It is not by any means, but I'm picking up guitar. That's actually a big focus. I think that my end goal for the end of this album that I'm working on is, instead of like building it electronically, I want to build it like acoustically, right? So that's why I'm like picking up other instruments and really like delving into learning about how those instruments work and how to play them rather than being pseudo.
What's that?
I also like brass a lot. 'Cause I mean, like jazz, there's a lot of like brass in there and whatnot, but I haven't picked up a brass instrument yet.
Like some horns?
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Like a
Oh,
trumpet or something?
yeah, yeah. But I also like a little more like maybe like a low sax, some shit
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. I love the sounds of it. So we'll get there when we get there.
How do you feel like you overcome writer's block?
I just be going through stuff and I'm like, I gotta write that. I gotta write about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like sometimes like life can be mundane. There's days where it's just, another day in the life, another day, another dollar. But then sometimes things happen and it's like, okay, now I can really channel this. Like for a while, I didn't have anything to write about. And then I went through like a huge breakup, and it was my first relationship ever. And I learned a lot, not just about relationships and like that kind of thing, but myself as a person. Like, you guys recall your first like real relationship? I'm not talking about like when you were young and little flings here and there. Do you feel like that, like the lessons you took away from that still stick to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big thing for me. That helped me overcome like a writer's block because I didn't release anything the entirety of last year because my sole focus was that relationship. And then finally, after I'm like, all right, now I can write. It's a double-edged sword. Double-edged
Double-edged
sword.
sword, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
W- So you pretty much took a fat little hiatus or break during the relationship?
Yup.
What do you think that was? What, like why would you do that?
That was the first time I ever experienced like that level of intimacy. I never received that from anybody or felt that with somebody. And so it's like, as a young man, having that for the first time, I'm like, this is my primary focus now.
Yeah.
Like bro, I was locked in. Like there were a lot of issues, but I was always just trying to make like the relationship better when really I should have been making myself better,
Yeah.
you know? But my attention was solely focused on that girl and that relationship. And that, fellas, young gentlemen out there, do not do that. Maintain your sense of self. That's something that I didn't have.
So I talked about this on the last pod we shot, but almost every single girl who said that, I mean, recently I haven't been making music every day, but I still make music 3 times out of the week minimum. Used to be every day, but just too much going on right now. But almost every single girl from my past who has ever made me choose between them or music or said I was spending too much time on music, I've cut off instantly. So if you really, really want it, you will find that balance. You know what I'm saying? That should not be your sole priority. Your priority should be you and always you, no matter what. Until that woman has a ring on her finger, don't matter.
I learned that
You
one
know
the
what
hard way.
matters? Music matters more. No.
Bang, bang.
Clip that.
Somebody clip that.
Clip that.
Chat. Oh man. If you had to give one piece of advice to an artist that is or a creative that is starting out, blah blah blah, what would you give them?
Don't stop. Like I know that's so cliche because like everybody's gonna say that, but really I think that is the best piece of advice somebody can receive is don't stop. There's gonna be those obstacles, those conundrums and whatnot. You're gonna. It's not easy. It's not easy to like obtain a skill and really like master that, hone in on it. It takes time, right? We're still sitting here doing it after how many years, and we're still always improving. It's like if you stop, like you're going to be at the end of your life with a what if, even if it's not like a sole focus. Like at least maybe, you know, if you go down a different route professionally, which, you know, in reality, a lot of the time that's what we have to do, don't just give it up. Like, you know, have it as a hobby or something. Just still do it because there's still potential there. If you just give up, what was the point in starting?
Yeah.
Why'd you start in the first place? What did you expect? I think a lot of the times, I don't know how to put this in words, but I think a lot of times we have super high expectations for those kinds of things, but expectations don't like define your limits. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Now, if there was one piece of advice that you have received that has helped you move forward and excel in your own music career, I know I said something similar earlier, but what do you think that's been?
Kind of stumped on that one. I feel like maybe that's something I miss sometimes is that advice through that criticism. Maybe sometimes I miss the point of that criticism. Um,
I mean, that answer alone is incredible because some people would just say, whatever the case, the fact that you even acknowledge that maybe you missed something, like blah blah blah, like from something that's a very mature response because it's like some people hear criticism and it's just like You know what I'm saying? It's somebody knocking, you nobody's home. You're not opening the door. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like nobody takes it because like we might be perfectionists, but we still think whatever needs work. You know what I'm saying? Some people are perfectionists and think everything's perfect. So like there's a difference even in mindset with you. Like that's you I was going to say the same thing earlier too. You are very well spoken. That's why it's like you have a lot of opportunity to really be a threat. And out of all the artists that I've had on here, he can, you know, I forgot the word, but he can vouch for me. I only say that to a handful of people, and it's like I deal with artists all the time. So you should definitely not stop, and you should definitely take whatever people tell you and just grow from it because you are right there. I mean that like from the bottom of my heart. You are good. Your lyrics have meaning, and I feel like that's a sense of what we're losing nowadays. Yeah, there's always going to be a party song. Yeah, there's always going to be a summer anthem, whatever the case, but the true feeling you get from when you hear a song, it's a rarity to have, So even with that podcast, bro, they can see us whenever. But for them not reacting to that just because that might not be their cup of tea, people can still see music for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that might not be their style, but where can the people find you, bro? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, I was gonna reiterate the same question that you had given to me. If you could give any piece of advice to any creative mind out there, what would it be?
Questions never get reversed. It's like a Uno reverse card.
Put you on the spot, huh?
Stumped.
Now you know how I feel.
uh, I feel like I would say the same thing. No matter what you do, whether it's, painting, making music, whatever craft you have or hobby or something, no matter whatever you love and genuinely love, my parents have always taught me that if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability and just go for it. Like my sister, when she was younger, she used to be a model and she was in Tropicana commercials and she was in Santa Claus 3, the movie, and Santa Jr. and blah, blah, blah. So they've always taught us to do, no matter what you're going to do, my dad's work ethic is literally probably the most insane work ethic I've ever seen. Like the fact that he doesn't get tired blows my mind because he could literally outwork anybody in this room. Like maybe not lifting that I got you because he's getting frail now, but with everything else, it blows my mind. Like, and if you're going to start something, what is the point of starting something and not finishing? The only reason why you're starting it is because you love it. And if you didn't love it, then why would you even, you know what I'm saying? People go down different paths. I mean, I changed my major 3 times in college. I went from computer science and then I was like, okay, maybe I don't like coding anymore. And I learned Java, C++, C++, Ruby. Like, I was really in it. And it is like, then I went from computer science and then I went to physical therapy. Almost every single person in my family was like, you don't have the patience for that. And you're not going to make it in there. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's probably right. And then I changed it to audio engineering, but it was like genuinely my parents, I told them, I was like, look, just give me a year and let me see how far I can go within my music just based off of me learning. And it didn't even take a year. Like was planning to take a year off of school. I took like 7 months off and then I was like, all right, I really want to do audio engineering and then switch my major again. But don't start something if you're not going to finish it because not only are you going to disappoint yourself already, you're disappointing everybody that you already told. That's why whenever I'm telling plans, I'm just going to give a little backstory. But with the studio that we are now opening, I had mentioned it on the second podcast that we did, which was in October, and it didn't come out until like January something. I got news towards the end of December that it fell through and it wasn't going to work out. And I was already upset with myself because I got too far ahead of myself. And I never tell anybody my plans unless they're actually coming into fruition. So, because why would I not only want to disappoint myself, like I'm saying, I'm disappointing the other people, no matter what they think, they probably don't really realistically care, but it's still like, you know what I'm saying? You want to avoid that. Like, yeah, people talk shit, but I don't want to go out or doing whatever and people see me and doing whatever and they're like, that motherfucker didn't start that second studio or do whatever the case. You know, people might not even give a shit to that extent, but the people who did hear about it doesn't matter. I don't want that to happen. So the fact that things turned around and it did actually work out kind of played in my favor, but there's no point in quitting because you're going to look at everybody around you going to the same job, driving to the same place, taking the same route to work every single day, coming back home to their kids and doing whatever the case, married to somebody they probably don't even want to be with anymore because they're batshit bored and their wife is bitching and moaning at them, asking to do whatever the case around the house. You got two little kids, you come home. That's why the divorce rate is so high and you're sitting there because you're not happy because realistically those people were the ones making fun of what we were doing and essentially blah 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 as long as we're doing whatever and getting our 10,000 hours in and actually doing stuff in order to be 1% closer even to our goals and the off chance that we do make it, which not if, when we make it, we're going to be living our best lives and they're going to be living in the suburbs and driving a Nissan Altima and doing whatever the case, going home to that situation. Now, if you want to live like that, that's cool and all, but I'm assuming since you're a dreamer, you don't want to live like that. I want to be able to take care of my parents. I want to be able to buy them a home. I want to be able to do things that are unexplainable. I want schools all across the world, music schools. I want to do more than just what is presented to me at hand. You know what I'm saying? So,
And why is that?
because music matters more. Man, where can the people find you, brother?
I Instagram, Nessie.ig. That's like the biggest place where I promote everything. Um, with the music, all DSPs, Spotify, iTunes. I'm not really active on SoundCloud anymore. I feel like that buzz died, but Nessie on all platforms.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, month, year, wherever you are. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Peace, everybody. Bishop?
Yeah.